In this module, we will be looking at the start of life, from conception through pregnancy and prenatal development. The objectives for this module will be to identify the genetic factors that contribute to development, to trace the development of the fetus from conception to birth, to explain the impact of culture on pregnancy and childbirth, and to analyze the roles of nature and nurture on development. Conception begins with fertilization. In fertilization, the gametes, or the male and female reproductive cells, join to become a zygote. The gametes are the male sperm and the female ovum. The sperm has a short lifespan. 100 million are produced daily, 300 million typically ejaculated, and only a small fraction reach the ovum. There are 400,000 ovum at birth in the ovaries of a female. They do not mature until puberty. Females tend to ovulate every 28 days. Fertilization joins the sperm and ovum to start the journey of prenatal development. The code of life, the DNA, which is in the genes, is transmitted from both the male and the female. There are 46 chromosomes in a human cell. 23 come from the male sex cell or sperm, and 23 come from the female sex cell or the ovum. Genes are the basic unit of genetic information. They are made up of deoxyribonucleic acid, and the genes make up the chromosomes, which replicate through a process called mitosis. Most inherited genetic information is shared by all human beings. Our individual differences are attributed to only about 0.1% of all DNA. What determines the sex of an individual? The X and Y chromosomes. Female humans have 2 X chromosomes. Males have only 1 X and 1 Y chromosome. It is the male that determines what the sex of the offspring will be. Some basics of genetics include alleles, which are the 2 different states or conditions that exist within a gene, one on each chromosome in the pair. Organisms have 2 alleles for each trait. When the alleles of a pair are heterozygous, one is dominant and the other is recessive. The dominant allele is expressed and the recessive is masked. A genotype is an underlying combination of genetic material present in an individual. The phenotype is the observable trait. An allele that contains similar genes from each parent is said to be homozygous. An allele containing different forms of genes from parents are said to be heterozygous. The prenatal period consists of 3 stages: the germinal, embryonic, and fetal. The germinal stage is the shortest stage, lasting from fertilization through the first 2 weeks. The embryonic stage lasts from 2 weeks from conception through the first 8 weeks. During this time, the organism firmly attaches to the uterus and becomes an embryo. Development of organs and basic anatomy occurs, and 3 distinct layers that ultimately form different sets of structures occur. The ectoderm, which forms skin, hair, teeth, sense organs, brain, and spinal cord. The endoderm, which becomes the inner layer of the digestive system, liver, pancreas, and respiratory system. And the mesoderm, which is sandwiched between the other 2 and forms the muscles, bones, blood, and circulatory system. At the end of the embryonic stage, The organism has gills and a tail-like structure, is about 1 inch long, has rudimentary eyes, lips, teeth, stubby bulges that become arms and legs. The head grows rapidly and begins to represent a significant portion of the body. There is rapid growth of nerve cells, and the nervous system begins to function at 3 weeks, and at 5 weeks, weak brain waves can be detected. The fetal stage takes place between 8 weeks after conception until birth. During this time, rapid development occurs. The fetus increases in length 20 times, and its proportions change dramatically. At 4 months, it weighs about 4 ounces, at 7 months, about 3 pounds, and at birth, the average weight is 7 pounds. Brain waves indicate several different stages of sleep and wakefulness during this time. The fetus can hear and feel vibrations. Between 8 and 24 weeks, hormones are released that lead to gender differentiation. Although there are broad similarities in the sequence of development, no two fetuses are alike. The differences occur due to genetics and the environment of the womb. Sometimes multiple births take place. Monozygotic twins are those that are genetically identical and result from one ova. Dizygotic twins are those who are not identical and result from the fertilization of 2 separate ova or eggs. Sometimes other types of multiple births may occur. This may be due to fertility drugs, to racial, ethnic, or national differences. Older women are more likely to have multiple births, and they are more common in some families. Multiple births are also more common among African American couples than white American couples. There's an inherited difference in the likelihood that more than one ovum will be released at a time. Sometimes pregnancy problems occur. Infertility occurs in 15% of couples, and it is the inability to conceive after 12 to 18 months. Maternal infertility is often influenced by age, hormone imbalance, damaged fallopian tubes or uterus, stress, or abuse of alcohol or drugs. Paternal infertility is often influenced by illicit drug use, tobacco, or STDs. Miscarriage may occur. Miscarriage is the spontaneous abortion of the fetus. It occurs in 15 to 20% of pregnancies. Oftentimes it is caused by a genetic abnormality of the fetus. Abortion is the voluntary termination of pregnancy. Currently, there are a number of tests that can be used to determine the health and development of the fetus. Some of these tests are listed on this slide. The prenatal environment significantly influences the development of the baby. And there are some threats that may occur to the development of the baby. Some of these threats are genetic. They may be sex-linked characteristics or spontaneous mutations that result in chromosomal abnormalities. The prenatal environment may impact the development of the fetus. The environment may be influenced by the mother, the father, or by teratogens. The mother's diet, whether she has a good diet to support the development of the fetus, may be a factor. The age of the mother, more older women giving birth due to societal transformations. Older women and younger women may be more at risk for prenatal problems. The type of support that the mother has, whether she has the social, economic support and the health care that's required. And drug, alcohol, and tobacco use can cause risks to the unborn child. There's relatively little research that's been done about the father's prenatal influence on the fetus. Secondhand smoke may influence the mother's health. Alcohol and drug use by the father may impair sperm, leading to chromosomal damage, and may create stress. Physical and emotional abuse can cause maternal stress. Teratogens are environmental agents or other factors that produce birth defects. Things like nicotine, alcohol, drugs, tobacco, prescription drugs, obstetric anesthetics, or environmental toxins can lead to developmental problems in the fetus. A culture's view of pregnancy can determine the kinds and severity of the symptoms associated with it, the types of treatment or medical assistance sought by the mother, and the degree to which pregnancy is responded to as a life stressor. If the pregnant woman is shown great care and concern and protected, she is shown a view of solicitude. If the pregnancy is to be hidden and kept secret, the view of pregnancy is that of shame. If the pregnant woman is seen as powerful and attractive, she is seen to be adequate. If she is seen as vulnerable and needing protection, the view of pregnancy is that of vulnerability. Technology currently provides a number of alternatives to natural reproduction. Some of these techniques raise questions and concerns about their benefits and costs, as whether or not they are always ethical. Recent advances in genetic technology have also occurred, raising questions about their benefits, costs, and ethics. For more information on available genetic counseling and testing, see the National Human Genome Research Institute website. What do you think? Is a given behavior caused just by genetic factors or by environmental factors? Many traits are determined by a combination of both genetic and environmental factors. Genotype provides particular range within which a phenotype may achieve expression. In many cases, the environment determines the way in which a particular genotype will be expressed as a phenotype. Do we inherit our personality? Research evidence indicates some of our most basic personality traits have genetic roots. Two of the big 5 personality traits are linked to genetic factors. Those two are neuroticism and extroversion. Neuroticism tends to be those individuals who are tense, moody, and anxious. Extroverts are talkative, energetic, and assertive. The other 3 of the big 5 personality traits are agreeableness, conscientiousness, and openness to experience. The big 5 personality traits are empirically based phenomena, not a theory of personality. They were discovered through factor analysis of which traits tend to occur in people's descriptions of themselves or other people. Originally, they relied heavily on American and Western European samples, and researchers are still examining the extent to which they can be generalized to other cultures. The relationship between nature, nurture, and intelligence has also been widely studied. And the closer the genetic link between individuals, the greater correspondence there is in their overall IQ scores. Within debate about the influence of nature and nurture, the role of genetics is often to produce tendency towards future course of development, while the role of environment affects when and whether a certain behavioral characteristic will actually be displayed. Schizophrenia can be used as an example of this. Evidence suggests that schizophrenia is brought about by genetic factors and runs in families. The closer the genetic links between family members, the more likely it is that if one person develops schizophrenia, the other will too. An identical twin has close to a 50% chance of developing schizophrenia if the other twin develops the disorder. However, individuals with a predisposition to the disorder are not destined to develop it. They have an unusual sensitivity to the disorder, and environmental stressors may influence its development. The study of identical twins who were separated at birth has helped researchers determine the effects of genetic and environmental factors in human development. There is a web link in Blackboard where you can view a video account of twin sisters who were part of this study and who were reunited later in life. As you view the video, think about the following questions. What role may their environments have played in their similarities or differences? How many of the women's shared behaviors do you think were genetically determined? As educators, we should acknowledge both nature and nurture in children's lives. School counselors should understand the power of heredity and the influences of environment on development. Educators should value a multitude of physical characteristics, personality types, and talents as they nurture and teach children. Physical experience, social interactions, school instruction can all enhance or detract from the talents, temperaments, and deficits that children are born with. It's important to offer additional support and guidance to children who lag behind their peers. They will continue to fall further behind, doubt their capabilities for future learning, and may end up dropping out of school. Be mindful of your own reactions to children's challenging temperaments. Children with irritable and combative temperaments commonly elicit impatient reactions from adults. Encourage children to make growth-promoting choices. Youngsters actively seek experiences compatible with their natural tendencies. Adults can help them to find activities and resources that allow them to cultivate their talents and remediate their weaknesses.